Double Hey, San Francisco Bay, Monterey. My name's Alexander.
And I'm Dr. Shasta.
And we're just chatting about having fun with, well, yes,
Well,
we're just having fun.
This is going to be about schools again. We don't want to use that word pupil. It's hard for Shasta to say.
Well, that's a great tongue twister before we start the show, though. So
pupil.
See, that's pretty
good. I got
good.
it now. I practiced.
Yes, you did. I like that. That's great.
I know. So I'm really excited about what we have, who we have on today. We have Kabir McDowell from the Living Wisdom High School of Palo Alto, Education for Life. And he is a principal with 40 years of experience in holistic education, child psychology, and caring.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
And given what we were talking about when we were talking about pupil before, which was the whole cyberbullying issue.
Oh, that's what it was, right.
Leah Pimentel, wanting to stop cyberbullying in her lifetime. This is a perfect way for people to go to put their kids in an environment where, as Kabir has said, they don't even deal with cyberbullying. They're looking at the strengths. They're focusing on the strengths of the students and helping guide them into having a personalized learning plan, into personalized, specialized project, things that excite them and move them forward, and working as a team in a holistic way. So this is the future of education.
No, and I think that's very important. I mean, it's shaping children initially early on. And of course, being it's a high school, is that right?
Yes, that's right.
So you're kind of getting them on a. I always wondered about that. I knew how I was in high school. I thought, man, you gotta have some cojones to be a teacher,
a principal
in high school.
For high school. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Still do.
So I would guess. I mean, this was the '70s when I was doing it, and I felt sorry for the principal all the time, even though I was probably part of his problem, just a smidgen. But this is really neat, and I think this is. I'm hoping we start to see more schools, I guess, like that. You had mentioned that there are 6 schools.
The Living Wisdom High Schools. Living Wisdom schools. Some of them are K through 8, and some are K through 12.
Okay, so you do the whole spectrum of education. Yeah. I would not that it's not important at the high school level, but would you say that there's a lot of importance on the K through 6
Absolutely.
or 8 to really help those kids shape themselves?
Absolutely. This is a critical time in the development of those children, because if they're so sensitive and they're so open, their hearts are open.
Right.
In fact, I was a first grade teacher for a while as well. And those children were so sweet and so loving and so trusting.
Right.
And the job of the parents and the teachers is to keep that alive.
Right.
It gets crushed so quickly
in
the wrong environment.
That's so
and
true.
So to help them have an environment where not only do they feel safe, but they also feel like they can really enjoy learning and enjoy being who they truly are without any issues about the bullying, for example, that just does not exist.
Right.
And where they can continue to trust and love the process of being in a school.
And I think that's really important too, as adults, having that connection to that childlike essence. I mean, between McKenna and I, sometimes it gets a little embarrassing when we go out in public, and most of it's me, not her. But I think being able to nurture that, I liked what you said about not crushing that spirit of just openness and love. And but as we grow, of course, there are certain issues that we have to deal with when we get into the high school level. And I think that's really cool. That's what we're going to be talking about today, since you do the high school thing. So we just got a really short break, and we'll be right back talking more with
Kabir.
Kabir.
Yes, McDowell.
At Way of Wellness, we help to rebalance the hormones of your body so that it can heal itself. Way of Wellness offers acupuncture, Chinese medicine, functional nutrition, Chi yoga, and wellness coaching. Call 408-615-1995 and start living the life that keeps us well.
There's so many.
Hey, double hey, San Francisco Bay, Monterey. My name's Alex Andrew.
And I'm Dr. Shasta.
And we're here with Your Healthy Living, talking about education. And one of my passions, I think that children, well, of course, they're our future. And having well-adjusted children is so important. And I think we kind of lost a little bit of that. I'm not sure that No Child Left Behind thing really worked very well. I'm not sure. I know that was a few years ago, but but I think we're starting to see some really good changes on the education side, and people are starting to wake up to things like you're doing.
Like holistic education,
Kabir.
like what you're doing. So can you begin by giving a bit of an overview about Living Wisdom High School, and where did it start, and how did you personally begin with the school?
Be happy to do that. In 1972, there was a group of educators and parents who got together who they were all very concerned, even in the 70s, that education was moving in the wrong direction, and they wanted something different for their kids. And so they started to work together to try to understand, now, what is it we need to do? What direction are we going to take? They explored Waldorf education and Montessori and different alternative approaches. In 1977, I joined that group, so way back a few years ago, and we continued to explore different possibilities until a gentleman by the name of Donald Walters wrote a book called Education for Life. And we're very connected with him. And it turned out to be he was able to express exactly what we're trying to do, and also giving specific ways that we can achieve the goals that we have, which would be to recognize each individual not only as a student, but as a human being, as a person, someone who's trying to develop into their full potential. And potentials can be different for every individual person as well.
Right.
So for the teacher and the families and the students all to work together as a team to help that and encourage that student to develop, that person to develop.
To develop their spirit.
That sounds like a huge undertaking, being that every individual is different. We all learn differently. Some are more visual, some are auditory, some are kinesthetic, and so on and so forth. I gotta guess there was a ton of studies and stuff that you guys did to really kind of help put this program together.
Well, I wouldn't call it studies. I would say there was a lot of experience involved in that.
That makes sense, right?
And so we would communicate, share with each other, and try different approaches. And we could see where it was working based on how much the child was smiling. How much they were.
What a simple but perfect thing.
It was true. And it's not just
not
the
having
test
a facade.
scores. It's about how much they're enjoying the experience of learning, of being with each other, of life, and relating to each other, in accepting and embracing challenges, mental challenges, emotional challenges, whatever it is, relationships. And so we started to see that more and more and knew we were on track. And in fact, we grew from that point, from a K through 8, 8th grade being the top, to a K through 12. So it expanded after a few years. And in the 1992, officially they started the high school, and it became accredited, the Living Wisdom High School up in the Sierra Nevada mountains. And then other branches came out of that as well. So in various, in Oregon and in Seattle and in California, and also now one just started 2 weeks ago in Italy.
Wonderful.
And they're working on one in India as well.
And I came up and visited your school in 7th grade because I went to Mount Madonna School, which was a private yoga school. And we took a field trip up to your school.
Did you really?
Up in Grass Valley.
Marvelous.
And so I know that.
First-hand experience.
Yes. And I do know what that's like to be in a school like that, where they are looking at your gifts. They're caring about how you feel. You start off with some yoga or meditation in the morning, and you're reading from different books that are inspiring, and the teachers really take an interest in you being happy.
Absolutely.
So I do understand. I think it made a huge difference in my life in following my passion and my dream to be a healer and a natural medicine doctor. I know it's from the education that I got. So I think it's so important that we do what we're here, what our gifts are, and that makes a whole-rounded person. And so if a person is in touch with what they love, and I see that you have in your high school where they can go to Foothill College and take classes they're really particularly interested. They can do internships. If children like your son comes and studies here on how to do the show, your daughter's doing the show, that if adults foster the children into what they really love, they are going to be more positive.
Right.
They're going to be more successful. They're going to be more happy. They're going to take better care of themselves and each other.
Yeah, that's just a natural offspring of being happy and healthy. And it's like my dad, I interviewed him years ago on a radio show we used to do, and he'd just retired from music. And I said, Dad, you've been in the music business for 60 years. You've been working for 60 years. What's it like to be retired? He said, I never worked a day in my life. Every morning I got up and I did exactly what I want to do. And I think we need to find, and it sounds like this is what this is. I mean, to be honest, I've been ignorant to this whole program, but it sounds like the program's been around for years.
Yes, indeed.
And you were sharing earlier about Silicon Valley, some of the statistics for high school students. Would you like to tell us about that right now?
You know, I went to a teen symposium or conference a few months ago at Stanford University, and there were representatives from each of the high schools. Students were representing their schools, and they each took turns getting up and discussing what their experience was. One after the other shared how difficult it was. And as I pointed out to someone, no one said that they enjoyed high school. It was the stress that they were focused on, that the emphasis is so strongly on academics, and not just academics, it's on scores, on their test scores. And there's an incredible pressure. You know, there's a competition, there between schools, between districts, and so forth. The United States ranks only 17th internationally in education. It's dropping, in fact. And there's an intense pressure on students to accomplish more, to achieve more. And what's happening is that because that pressure is so intense, the students are getting more and more depressed because it's not a goal that comes from them. It's not something that's meaningful to who they are.
Right.
Teenagers are at a very dynamic period of life. It's the second most productive period of life for the brain development in all of life. The first 4 years and 4 years of teenagers, of the teen years.
Wow.
Teens do not shut down in their brains. Right. They actually are developing very rapidly, and it needs a certain kind of experience to help them fulfill what they're trying to accomplish, which is to become more mature in their way of thinking, clear, more aware of their others and the choices that they can make and so forth. And if they're in a situation where they're able to become who they really feel to be and explore that, they're going to be fulfilled and happy, and they're going to be motivated. The brain actually works better.
Right.
And where they are allowed to be sensitive. Now, in our schools today, you cannot be sensitive, truly, or you have to hide that aspect of you.
Or you'll get bullied or picked on or something along those lines.
And if you don't achieve the highest levels, like the AP and the honors courses, and you can be made to feel very inadequate. And so many kids, 17% of the kids in this one study had contemplated suicide. 17 students, high school students out of every 100. And in the last year, I read a report that said over 3,000 kids in Silicon Valley last year considered suicide as their option to get out of that pain that they're suffering
that
from.
they don't feel adequate. They don't feel good enough.
No.
And these measures of these AP exams, they're science, technology, things that not everybody is going to have a gift for, and so it's not going to bring out the best in everybody if someone's trying to round circle into a square peg or whatever.
Yeah, and
so
that kind of brings it to a whole nother level of the education process, kind of like we talked about before, having that uniqueness of who these individuals are. I mean, to be honest, I contemplated suicide. I actually almost did it when I was in, I want to say 8th grade. I had a rifle, a gun, and all that kind of stuff, to be honest.
Were you bullied?
I was always bullied, and I don't know what it was, and maybe it was because it was the 70s and we were just kind of starting to experiment a little bit and that kind of thing. But that was something that I kind of look back on and go, wow, thank God I wasn't able to do that. And was I really that serious? It's kind of hard to remember at this point, but no,
those are pretty high statistics.
Yeah, I was going to say I make sense because I was one of those statistics.
And
we'll be right back.
This is an alternative school for
after
parents
this break
to put
on
their kids into.
KYS Radio.
I do traditional Chinese medicine, and that includes 5 different branches: acupuncture, massage, yoga, tai chi, qigong, herbal medicine and nutrition. It is amazing in helping the body heal itself, that it releases the body's natural endorphins, serotonin, and seems to rebalance the hormones of the body.
Lower back pain was taken care of very quickly, 6 treatments, and I was pain-free. And this was like 3 years ago, and I've remained pain-free.
I've grown up in the Bay Area, and I have had my own practice for over 15 years. When I was 12, I decided I want to be an acupuncturist, and by the time I was 25, I was licensed.
I have thyroid condition and stress, big time. When I walk out, I'm feeling like a whole different person. It's definitely a blessing to be able to come here.
I love helping women have babies, and the day that they actually get pregnant, the look in their eye is like, it's the best thing ever.
I've been struggling trying to get pregnant for the past 3 or 4 years. I came to Shasta. I would totally recommend her to anyone out there that is trying to get pregnant. She will do great for you.
Way of wellness has to do with living a life that keeps us well.
Hi there, this is Alexander with It's All About the Show. You know, I've been with Money Concepts since 1994, and they have been the primary catalyst for my success as a financial advisor. If you're looking for a career change and you want to help people for a living, check out moneyconcepts.com/ALEE or call 946-8378 today.
Hey, double hey, everybody. My name's Alex Andrew.
And I'm Dr. Shasta.
And we're back with Your Healthy Living. And we were kind of just talking about this whole contemplation of suicide, which I felt I was, one of those statistics. And it makes sense to me that we have, or we need avenues to be able to figure out how to deal with this. And it's not just going to be going to seeing a psychiatrist, because I had one in the house at the time. Of course, she was working full time and all that kind of stuff. So it was, you had a 2-person working family and everything. But I'm really excited to hear how this thing works.
And I wanted to say that the statistics show that suicide is the number 2 leading cause of teenage death now. So it is a huge problem, and the pressure you're talking about is, just crushing kids' spirits, and none of us parents want that. We all want our children to be happy and joyful and feel safe. And so what is a typical week like at your school?
Well, I'll share that with you. I also want to bring up, as part of that, a point that you were talking about before, that AP, maybe exerting too much pressure on the kids. Is it really valid? One may question that. In fact, I know schools that don't even bring in the advanced studies and so forth because it's too much for them. But I've found a different possibility for kids. If it's presented and if their experience of the school is balanced in a way that they feel good inside and their brains are working,
right,
they can accomplish so much.
Right.
And I have kids, for example, one student who came from Palo Alto High School feeling such anxiety and pressure, and he was getting A's and B's and doing well, but 3 or 4 hours of homework a night. And he came to us in September this last year. And after 2 or 3 months, I said, "So how's the anxiety?" And he said, "Gone." And in his first semester, he got straight A's, including on his AP, including on all honors courses. He was taking and including a Foothill College course that he was taking. He got an A+ in it.
Because he was relaxed.
And he was feeling good inside
He
and
felt
relaxed.
good. So everything worked.
He knew how to concentrate. He knew how to focus his attention. But he had the support that he needed to be able to just be who he was and discover that who he is a brilliant boy.
Right.
He didn't know that before.
Yeah.
And neither did his parents, actually.
Right.
So we start each day with about a 45-minute period of time where we call it personal development. What we do is we might take a walk in nature, or we just a quiet walk, or consider a topic of something and have a little discussion. But very often it's yoga. And we have guest yoga teachers that come in, and I tell them, you don't need to talk. Just give them yoga, because yoga works to calm down the system, calm down the mind, We don't need to be thinking about what it is. It has a powerful effect.
Right.
And so the kids all enjoy that. They come in from their homes and they're stimulated. After yoga, they're very calm, they're quiet, they're peaceful, and then they can sit down and do their work. And in fact, following yoga, we always have an hour and a half period of concentrated time. So each day. Now, the students, we have kind of a university model that we work with. They all are taking through blended learning. They're taking their own courses. We have a personalized learning plan for each student, where each kid has a different program that's specific to their needs, whether it's the University of California high school requirements or their A through G approved courses and so forth. So they can go on to Stanford. They can go on to any university in the world that they want to, potentially. And so we're making sure those bases are covered. They have, but they're able to work at their own pace. Now, but we are able to supply teachers to support them. They have online teachers, and for some of the courses, they're online. Some of them are direct teachers, like with English. But where they have an online teacher, they always also have a personalized tutor, a personal tutor that comes in, or a tutor for the class. For example, in sciences that we have 5 different sciences being taught and 5 different labs. And so we have a science teacher that comes in from Stanford University. He's a doctoral student there, and he does the labs, Charlie, and he's marvelous, and the kids love him, and he relates to them in a personal way and caring. And each student can have a different ability. You know, some are gifted in that way, some are still struggling, but he makes them all feel comfortable with where they're at, and that's what we all do.
Yeah.
You know, whatever level that they're at, they can take a standard high school course, they can take a college prep course, they can take an honors course or an AP course or a college course. Wow. So we have 5 for almost all the subjects. We have 5 different levels.
Right.
And we work with the parents and the student to find out what's the appropriate level based on their goals. So they have during the week, they're going to have these periods of time each day of focus. And then, for example, on Tuesdays, we always have mentor conferences. I'm meeting with them each individually. We monitor where they're at. We have a certain pacing plan.
Right.
The kids monitor their own progress. They're able to adjust their pacing. You know, we're able to work with them, so no one's under pressure to have to finish at a certain time. Right. We want them to, even with the tests, we take the timings off the tests so that our focus is on learning and thinking and reason and feeling. And so when they're under pressure, the brain's not working as well, actually.
That's right.
And so we take that pressure off, and they can just focus on, okay, what it is that I need to know. And they're really accepting that and embracing that ideal that it's about learning.
It's about learning.
And
it comes in when you're relaxed.
Yes, that's right.
So what are the plans for the school kind of going forward? I mean, we've got 6 schools throughout the world.
The world.
Right?
Yes,
so where are you guys going with this? It's such a neat concept.
We have just started the high school here. We're the second branch of the high school. And so we're in our first year. We're just now completing our first year. And in next year, we're going to be taking another probably 24 students to add to the ones that we have now. Are
you still accepting new students?
Yes, we are, in fact. Right. And in fact, people can they can contact us.
What's your contact info?
Well, my personal, they can write to Kabir, Kabir, at livingwisdomhighschool.org. Kabir at livingwisdomhighschool.org.
Wonderful.
And they can also come to our website at www.livingwisdomhighschool.org and check it out and see what's happening. And call me. My number's on the web. And
you're located where?
We're located in Palo Alto. Currently, our school is at the Cubberley Community Center in Palo Alto.
And you said it used to be a school, and now it's been converted.
That's right. And
that's great.
It's a beautiful facility.
Yeah.
Kind of an old time school, kind of like Los Gatos High down here, where it's this beautiful old
It feels
building.
so good.
Yeah.
Well, it's a different place up there. Ananda Church is just exquisite. Have you ever?
I'm not
familiar
been to the
grounds
with
of Ananda Church?
I used to work in Palo Alto, but that was in the early '80s, so I don't
it's
get
just
up there
beautiful.
very often.
Yeah. Well, that is awesome. I mean, I don't know if you know about this whole Silicon Valley billionaires and the remaking of American schools that was in the New York Times in 2017. And it's about these incredible parcel and go bond measures that are being done for school bonds. And the incredible pressure of administrators to get these tax dollars, and a lot of the campaigning that's going into that, and who's actually profiting. And, you know, you sort of have to follow the money on that one. And I would imagine that is not exactly in alignment with the children.
No.
So, and people should read that article. And you guys you're not about that at all. And
it's all about the children.
It's all about the children, and it's not like a political thing.
So, for example, I have a 14-year-old son that is getting ready to start high school. Now, of course, we're here in Los Gatos, Saratoga. I guess it's a little bit of a commute. But how does something like that work? Or is you know, how does he get accepted, for example, if he wanted to come in?
First of all, we have kids coming from San Jose. They take the train. And we
really?
We do a train pickup every day and drop off.
No kidding.
So
That's
it comes
great.
right to San Antonio Station. We pick them up right there. And we have kids from Redwood City coming down from down south in that direction. What they do is the first thing to do is to come on over and visit. So parents can sit down with me and the students and ask all the questions they would like.
I'd like to say that Yogananda, you're connected with the Ananda Church.
Yes.
Yogananda is the yoga teacher who brought yoga to America in the 1930s and 40s. He actually brought yoga to America, and this is a community that is a part of a very, very long-standing, very spiritual, very deep avatar yoga teacher, Yogananda, who brought this. So it's very pure, sincere people and work, and I would trust them with my children. So I'm so grateful that you're here.
Great
and
concept.
that you came.
I'm really interested. We'll talk more after the show, and make sure all your information gets up on the website and everything else.
And thank you.
Thank you for joining us, Kabir. We appreciate it.
And come back if you'd like another time.
Don't forget to tune into the KIYSVideoWebRadio.com network and check us out on Facebook for all our shows here on the Kindness in Your Soul network, the way radio was always meant to be seen. Thanks for joining us tonight. Have a good
great
night.
week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.